Hello and welcome back to Helluva Podcast. I'm Alex.
I'm Audie. The O is still silent, bitches, and we're back!
For Season 2!
Yay!
And our Season 2 coincides with Season 2 of the show, so we're finally getting to
the circus.
I gotta open our notes, actually.
Yeah, we have spent a long... And by we, I mean mostly Alex. We took down these notes months ago, watching the
Almost
episode.
a year ago.
No, that's not right. Is it?
Yeah, it was spring term of last year.
March is when I watched Helluva for the first time, so the podcast would have come after that.
Oh.
But still, yeah.
A considerate amount of time.
Yeah. But then we had to actually format them into, notes that make sense, for the purposes of this podcast, so... Thanks to Alex for doing that today.
It took me 5 hours and I'm not even done, but we have enough for this episode.
Yeah, more than enough.
Because we are not going to get into all of the circus today. Classic us.
Spoiler alert, this is going to be a two-parter.
Yeah.
At least.
Maybe 3, but we're hoping for 2.
Yeah, we're on a bit of a time constraint this week, but next week we're hoping to just, fully just get really into it and finish it out. Unless it ends up taking us, a ridiculous amount of time. But that hopefully won't happen.
6-hour episode. Hope you're ready.
Yeah, strap in.
It has been that all being said, it has been a long time since either of us recorded.
Yeah.
So we might be really messy.
Yeah.
And we might get sidetracked. Just bear with us. We're getting back into the flow of things.
I mean, that kind of sounds like how we record anyways.
Yeah, and actually right now we're being a lot more... So maybe we'll be really good.
Maybe we'll be fucking professionals. You want to tell your little story?
I have a story. So, before we get into the analysis, today I was taking a shower, right, as one does in the morning, and I queued a bunch of songs. Was the first one on that Look My Way by King Stolas. Yes, he wrote it.
Prince Stolas.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Shit, fuck.
Get his fucking title right. God.
Anyway. So I'm listening to that, right? And then the next song that's supposed to cue plays a little bit and then skips. And it keeps, songs keep skipping. And Audie's be reeling me. Anyway, songs keep, playing a little bit and skipping. And then, most of them are also either has-been, Helluva, or fan songs, including the beginning of Ringleader played at least 4 times. And I got so hype every time, because a good fucking song.
As you should, yeah.
But anyway, they kept skipping, and then the only songs that were playing in full were versions of Look My Way. It was, Paranoid GJ's version, the, actual voice-acted version, the instrumental, and then... It got back into the skipping thing, and then the only other song that played in full was You'll Be Okay. So I think Stolas was haunting my shower today.
Yeah, you got just a little bit haunted.
Yeah, and I'm honestly kind of okay with it.
You should, yeah.
But it was funny because around my shower, before and right after, I was taking these notes. And this is the circus. This is, one of the big Stolas episodes. Yeah. And so I thought that was really funny.
Yeah. He knew. He was ready.
He's at Bennington College.
He's here.
Yeah.
Actually, I am him.
Etc.
Yeah, but some quick orders of business. We have a newsletter, if you don't know.
If you don't know already.
Yeah. To be fair, we haven't really been on this podcast much since it released, so maybe you don't know. But... yeah, you can sign up for it on our Instagram if you go to at AA Discussions on Instagram, and we could talk more about that at the end, I think. But
it's full of silly stuff. We recommend it.
Yeah, you'll be the very first to hear updates about everything that we're doing. So
and our lives in general. We get a little silly and personal with it.
Yeah, and it's totally free and cool, and we could say more at the end. But yeah. And also, we have a lot of thoughts on Has-Been Hotel.
Yes. We're not going to, not muddy up, that's not a good phrase, but clutter up this, podcast with it because it is Helluva-based and not everyone who watches Helluva watches Has-Been.
Yeah.
We do have a lot of thoughts, and we would like to talk about it. So we were thinking, do you want to...
Yeah, we were thinking that we'll do, a little bonus episode, a public episode that you can all listen to for free here on Spotify, where we'd start diving into our thoughts on Has-Been. And then, assuming that goes well, then we might do some more bonus episodes where we go into the rest of our thoughts on Has-Been, but those would be on our... Ko-fi, 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 which is a place where we can put bonus content that you'll have to pay like a tiny bit of money.
Like $1.
Like $1. I think our minimum right now is set to $3, but we can lower that, honestly. And that's just, we're not really in the business of paywalling our stuff, but we are doing this, like, for free, essentially, and it does take us a lot of time and effort. So.
Yeah, so if we're going to take on a second, and that has been a recommendation we've gotten a little bit, but if we're going to take on a second, we have kind of made the decision as, like, full-time students and part-time workers that we can only handle doing one for free.
Yeah.
But we still would love to give you the content, so this is kind of the what's it called?
Compromise.
Compromise we've come up with.
Yes.
But again, that first one's going to be free, so you can check it out before you do anything, subscribe, whatever.
Yep.
And as always, Helluva Podcast will be free.
Always free. Yeah. And we've technically profited off of Helluva Podcast with our $3.86. 87? Somewhere in there.
Share it with all of your friends. Get us so many fans so we can get monetized again, and then we'll make the other stuff free, maybe.
Yeah. But yeah, I think that's all the business. We have a lot to get through. I have a lot to get through and not a lot of time, so...
Has-been reference.
Has-been reference. As we just said, we weren't gonna talk about it on
here.
Yeah,
that's another thing.
Yeah.
This show, this podcast might have spoilers, but they're not gonna be huge stuff.
Yeah,
It's just, like, little references and then little world-building stuff, but it won't be, like, big spoil stuff. It's mainly to do with, like, the scenery and things like that. Just things where we're like, hey, this impacts Helluva. Mm-hmm. So be aware of that. If you want absolutely zero spoils, including, like, animation stuff, then you might want to watch Has-Been before you listen to this.
Yeah. It'll be very nitty-gritty details, so hopefully shouldn't be an issue, but just be aware.
All right. Ready to get into it?
Let's freaking get into it. So, little baby demons. That is our first order. That's our first note. Little baby demons. It opens on the absolute cutest little baby owl that you have ever seen in your fucking life. Little baby Prince Stolas.
He does a little yawn.
Little yawn. My birthday! He's so fucking good.
And he's snuggling with his little imp stuffed animal.
Yeah.
That is also in all of his pictures, so it's definitely his favorite. His little comfort item.
Yeah, which is, interesting in terms of, like, the dehumanization of imps and how that relates to class and power.
But it's also interesting because his nanny guy, I feel like he needs an official title. I'm going to call him his nanny.
Yeah.
The
monocle dude.
Yeah, he is an imp. Mm-hmm. And he kind of looks like him a little bit, so I'm wondering if it's because of that and maybe he gave it to him, or if it was from his parents and it is a dehumanizing thing.
Yeah. There are, like, baby dolls in real life, so it's not inherently, but just judging, it is an interesting little layer to the whole power dynamic between Blitz and Stolas.
It definitely is.
Where, Stolas' whole thing is, like, he doesn't care that Blitz is of a lower class, but obviously there's built-in biases there still.
And we see him a lot, and we're going to talk about him.
And we're going to talk about him, especially in Western Energy, too, but...
We already talked about him a little in Harvest Moon, but we're going to talk about him in this one a bit, and a lot in Western Energy.
In Western Energy, yeah.
The next one was, how many siblings does Stolas have?
Yeah,
because I don't think we ever get we did a little deep dive in hell lore.
Like real life, quote unquote, hell lore outside of the show.
Like Bible hell lore.
Yeah, Bible hell, thank you.
But I don't think we even got a definitive answer there, did we?
No, there's definitely a lot if we're going based on that. And also, the reason that this question came up is because of Stolas' dad being like, which one is this again?
Yeah.
He also just sucks, so he could have, like, 3 kids.
But I also wonder how many he has and how many different powers they have.
Yeah.
Like, how split up is it? Because, like, Stolas' I feel like is so niche.
It's very niche. Yeah, I think there were definitely a lot, because, like, I remember, because the different, like, princes and princesses, of the Goetia family, like, they all control different legions of hell, so, and they have very specific powers that come with that, so it makes sense that there's, like, a lot of them with a lot of different things that they control. And Stolas is focused on, like, space, astronomy, and I think also literature, which tracks.
Based.
Yeah. He got the gay powers.
Yeah. The next note we had was about his little nanny. That just the fact that he is, like, the only adult that pays attention to him. Yeah. Knows who he is. Mm-hmm. Like...
Knows his name.
Yeah, knows his name, because his dad doesn't know his name. No. Heartbreaking.
Yeah.
But he also, like... He, like, talks to him like a parent, like, in the way of, like, we've been talking about this. Like, especially the, excitement is... Unbecoming. Like, we've had this talk a lot.
Yeah. And I'd be interested if we ever, like, see more of that guy, just because I'm interested, like, is he, like, does he actually care about Stolas? Like, we don't see if they really have a close connection or anything. It's just, it still kind of seems like he's just caring for Stolas because he's paid to.
Yeah.
Which is even more upsetting.
It also makes me wonder, like, what his job is allowing. Because, like, there's definitely the fact where he might be, like, a servant, but he takes care of Stolas when Stolas needs to do stuff. So, like, he gets him up in the morning, he gets him to his tutor.
Yeah.
Like, that kind of stuff. Or, like, in this scene, it's getting him up, getting him presentable, getting him to his dad.
Yeah. But if that is the extent of what he does, then really just drives home that Stolas has never had an adult in his life who cared about him.
Yeah.
Or a non-adult in his life who cared about him.
Anyone?
Anyone, ever. Probably not, I mean, like, you know, he meets Blitz this episode, obviously. But then they'd see each other once and then never again for 25 years. So that's, you know, that's something. But that's really why it's so important to him, I guess, that he's his first friend.
Yeah. He's also so, like, he has so many, like, individual hobbies. Like, you can tell, like, he's not playing with his brothers and stuff.
Yeah.
Too.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, he's reading. He's, like... Yeah. Like, he's not playing games. Like, he doesn't...
Yeah.
Like, Blitz suggests a game later on, and he's like, what?
What? You want us to be pirates? But there's windows? What?
So true.
Can't comprehend it.
Honestly, me.
Yeah.
The picture of little Stella being evil.
Yeah. Just... That was a sign to get out of there while you still could, buddy.
Yeah.
She's, like, turning the head off a doll or something.
I have a lot of thoughts on the way that Stella and Stolas are portrayed, and how Stella is painted as very evil, and Stolas's negative flaws are still painted as good. But I think that's for part 2. Just because she's talked about a lot more. This part's basically just about the kids.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to note that I am acknowledging that, but we're going to talk about it next episode.
Yeah. Next we have Stolas's first gay crush, assumingly, was Blitz at the circus, which makes me wonder if he's ever seen anyone his age before, really? Like, other than, you know, his siblings, maybe, depending.
Yeah.
But that obviously doesn't count. Like, I don't know, his dad did say, like, you love the circus, implying that they've been before. So, like, he's probably seen other kids in that respect, but...
I don't think he says you. I think he says kids love that.
Oh, you're right. You're right, actually, yeah. So, you know, we can wait till we get to that moment. Oh, no, that is this moment.
Yeah.
The way that, like, his dad is immediately like, kids love the circus, let's go to the circus, that'll cheer you up. To me, that kind of implies that Stolas does not throw fits like this often.
Yeah.
So, like, his dad is, like, kind of, like, dumbfounded by it in a way, which is also extremely sad that he probably just bottles up his little emotions in his little owl body.
Yeah.
And
which is, like, this is a fair moment for him to have a little outburst because, like, he's literally, this is one of the only times his dad's paying attention to him, and all his dad is doing is saying, here's your future, you don't get a say. Yeah. Like, I would freak out.
And he was so excited for it, too, though.
Yeah.
He was like, I get to learn about the grimoire, and then it's like, oh, by the way, you have to marry this evil-looking girl. Yeah. And you're gay.
He doesn't say that, but it's implied.
But it's implied, yeah.
Yeah, but, so yeah, it's either, him being like, well, this is his... I think it could be a few things. One, it could be, well, this is a kid that's not my brothers and sisters. 2, it could be, wow, this is a kid my age who is doing backflips and shit. And 3, a gay little crush. I think it might be all of them.
I think it's all of the above for sure,
He is infatuated with Blitz. Like, eyes wide, like, whoa.
He does a little shake.
Yeah. Like and before this, he's, like, looking down. He's, like, hugging his book.
Smacking himself in the face with it.
Yeah. And then he's like, huh.
And there are other kids in this circus, so it is something about Blitz specifically. Like, I mean, Fizz is there also, and Fizz is the one that everyone loves, but Stolas is like, who is this absolute failure of a child?
Who's this fail girls?
I liked his horse joke. It was funny. Their legs do stop working when they have too much sugar. It's called laminitis. People say you can't learn things from TV.
And he's the only one that laughs at his joke and thinks it's funny, which you had a parallel to, no?
Oh yeah. In Seeing Stars, when Blitz is doing, like, the sitcom thing and Stolas is in the audience, and Stolas is the only one laughing at Blitz's, like, actual jokes.
Yeah.
And it's very much... And that's the next episode from this,
Yeah.
so it's very much a direct parallel.
There's a lot of parallels between Ozzy's, which at this point when this one came out was chronologically the next episode. Now we have Queen Bee. Mm-hmm. But there's a lot of parallels between Ozzy's and a lot of parallels between Seeing Stars, and I think that's really interesting.
Yeah, I think so too. And Queen Bee, it is like the next... Like, it does happen between Ozzy's and this episode, but it is also set apart from them, like, very much.
It's
like,
it really has barely anything to do with Stolas too.
Yeah, it's just Blitz.
And it's that same night.
Mm-hmm.
So and it's like a two-parter. So honestly, it's like the finale, which that's one part. That's one episode. It's just split into two parts.
Yeah.
So it's honestly like parallels between the finale, which is before this, and then Seeing Stars.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
You want to take prophecies? You were pretty crazy about this one.
Yeah, I just think it's so interesting. So when Stolas' dad is giving him the grimoire and like telling him about it, he's like, here, I have a direct quote. I looked up the circus episode transcript. His dad says, "You will be entrusted with the study of the earth's skies, the stars, the prophecies they hold, all that stuff." Kind of just glosses over the prophecies part. And like, yeah, Stolas' whole thing is like, you know, astronomy and whatnot. And he mentions prophecies again later on.
At the end of this little kid section.
Yeah, when him and Blitz are, like, under the tree and all that, it, like, comes up again. So it's not just, like, a thing that's thrown in there. I think there's even other times in the show where it's hinted at, like, maybe when he's telling Via about, like, the grimoire and stuff. But I really want to know, like, the extent of Stolas' powers. What are these prophecies that he can see? Like, how does that work? Is that going to be relevant to, like, the plot of the show? Question mark. And it also, to me, it just, I don't know if there's really a connection here, but it makes me think of in Lululand, during You Will Be Okay, the lyric that's like, all my stories have been told except for one.
Yeah.
It's just reminiscent of prophecies in that way to me, and like, destiny, and I don't know. I just think it's interesting. I want to know more about it. It's just like a quick little line that's like glossed over real fast, and
I also want to learn more about it.
Yeah.
I like this note that Audie wrote that says, "What is this gay boy able to do?"
Yeah.
I think that sums it up.
What is gay boy able to do? Exclamation point, etc., etc.
Did I make up the this? I did.
You did make up the this. It's just, what is gay boy able to do?
Yeah, it's so interesting.
Yeah. I want to know.
Yeah.
He can do so much.
He can. He's so powerful.
He is.
Like, we, as a fandom, really gloss over how powerful this man is.
Because he's a fucking twink.
Yeah.
God forbid a twink has power.
God forbid.
Vivzy Pop loves giving twinks ungodly amounts of power.
Let's unpack that, Vivzy.
Literally ungodly, aka Lucifer.
Vivian.
Vivian, Medrano.
Our next bullet is Cash with a pukey face.
With a pukey face.
Which, if you don't know, Cash Buxo is Blitz's dad.
Boo. Boo.
When we first meet him, not first meet him, because first meet him, he's the ringleader, and he's saying, "The motherfucking clowns!" But when Paimon, right, goes up to him, he is, like, drinking, and he has, like, drunk hiccups.
Yeah.
So, alcoholic father.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Immediately right off the bat.
Yeah.
I would say implied. It's basically
canon,
just right in your face, yeah.
And then also in that same scene, so Paimon asks about Blitz, and Cash thinks that he's asking about Fizz because everyone probably asks about Fizz.
Yeah.
Which kind of we learn a little bit later on that was, like, people were asking about him when he was a teen, so I'm wondering how young that started.
Yeah. I don't like that.
But he says Fizz is a big draw. Mm-hmm. And that he has a few more shows to be in. And that is very interesting to me because, first of all, Fizz is monetarily valued a lot higher than Blitz.
Yeah.
And secondly, he has a few more shows. Is this because he has more talents? Is this because he's more loved? Like, why? So it shows that he's not, like, Blitz and Fizz in their duo act is not the only thing that Fizz does, but it probably is the only thing that Blitz does. And I just think that's really interesting.
I think so, too. It makes me wonder why Blitz is even there. Like, I'm sure he wants to be there, but, like, why his dad lets him
Does he want to be there?
I think at this point he still thinks it's what he wants. Because he does talk to Stolas later about, like, he's going to start his own circus and do what he wants to do. So, like, not with his dad, maybe.
Yeah.
But probably because of Fizz, if for no other reason.
Yeah.
And it makes me wonder why his dad lets him still do it. Because, like, maybe there's something about Fizz and Blitz together. Maybe people think that Blitz being, like, the dumb one, quote-unquote, is, like, part of the act. And so...
And it probably sells.
But that's just Blitz doing his best. Which
is really sad.
Fucking hurt.
Oh.
Yeah, and to have that be your one performance, probably, and then your best friend / gay crush, Fizzarali, is going off and doing multiple shows a day.
Yeah.
And is valued more than you by your own father.
Heavily more, because it says big draw and he's going to be pretty expensive, and then... They talk about Blitz. First of all, he goes, Blitzo?
Yeah. Like,
he's, like, so fucking baffled.
That anyone would care.
About his kid.
Yeah.
And then he goes, what do you have in your pocket?
A wadded up 5 and a slim fit condom.
First of all, implies that either Paimon or the nanny have a tiny dick.
Yeah. Hey, he's a tiny imp.
That's true, but I would really think it's funnier if it's Paimon.
I would too.
But I think it probably is.
Because it comes from the imp's pocket, because Paimon is on a fucking mirror.
Right, but we don't know that he's not carrying around things for Paimon.
That's true. This is true.
But it's probably the imp, but I just think it would be really funny if it's not.
I highly doubt Vivzy ever expected anyone to analyze whose condom that belongs to. I think it's just meant to be, like, a silly little thing in the pocket, but we're like, okay, but if you take a look at our notes.
Vivzy, we're so sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah. $5 in a slim fit condom, and he's like, yup.
Yeah,
and we do have to know that Cash is probably already thinking of the ulterior motive to have Blitz steal at this point, so he is worth less for that. But also the fact of just outwardly being like, whoa, you want my son? And $5 is enough.
Yeah. Yeah, no. He doesn't even say it's enough. He says that's plenty. That's plenty. Like, that is... He'd probably let them just do it for free. But yeah, I think it is also worth noting that Blitz is... or that he has that ulterior motive in mind, because this guy... Greed is, like, his whole thing.
Yeah. And
he wouldn't genuinely just be, like, if there's an opportunity to make money out of it, he wouldn't just be like, $5 in a condom, that's plenty. So he definitely is already thinking about this.
Before we get to this next one, I kind of do want to circle back again to why Blitz is in the circus. Because I feel like there's more to talk about there.
Yeah.
I feel like, I'm wondering if maybe it's, like, a money thing, like, Blitz is a free performer, and so they're going to use him even if he's bad.
True.
As opposed to getting a new performer. But also, like, is it, like, does Cash think that he's just going to get better one day? Or, like, does he enjoy it? I feel like, I really want to know, because it doesn't even look like he's having as much fun. Like, Fizz is up there, and he's like, I'm fucking enjoying it.
Yeah.
It doesn't...
He looks like he's having fun on the trapeze.
And the trapeze, yeah.
And
he's still good at the trapeze when he's older.
Yeah. He's like... It's only when he starts doing the balloon animals that he starts to flop. Everything before that, he's, like, doing fine.
So that would make really, like, a lot of sense if that part of the act was, like, him being the stupid one.
Yeah, unintentionally part of the act.
Which is so sad.
I also think, especially if Blitz is, like, as long as he's pulling his weight enough, like, with the trapeze and stuff, I think it makes sense that his dad... being the abusive prick that he is, takes some kind of joy and power out of, like, degrading him and knocking his own son down a peg.
Yeah.
Like, if Blitz, like, just didn't do anything good for the circus, his dad would probably just be like, you're not allowed in. But, like, since he does good enough and, like, sells well, like, regardless of what he's doing, like, he's doing something right, then his dad probably enjoys being able to still be like, you suck.
Yeah. I think also, I forgot what I was going to say.
Nar.
She
was right.
Anyway, another thing, sidetracking a little bit, for our Ko-fi, we are also probably going to put bloopers up there.
Oh, yes.
For pay.
We've been collecting those this entire time that we've been making this podcast.
And some of them are so funny.
Some of them are so funny.
We can talk more about that after. I just want to, because we didn't put it in the notes.
Totally. Oh boy, I just read the next one.
So this is circling back again to the whole worth and kind of like being like Cash, when he's asked about Fizz and Blitz, does not say, like, it does not seem abnormal for someone to say, hey, I want to borrow this kid.
Yeah.
Or I want this kid for something other than the circus.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I want to take this kid off site. And he doesn't hesitate with that.
Yeah.
So that makes me believe it's happened before.
Yeah, which does make sense in an innocent context, like to hire like a personal performer for an event or something. Like, it doesn't have to be bad.
Right.
But also...
But it could be bad.
But it could be. And we also see how people act towards Fizz as a teenager.
Yeah. And so that, given especially Fizz's plots later on, and also Blitz's whole fucky thing with sexuality.
Blitz's whole goddamn thing.
And relationships and everything.
Yeah.
It does make me wonder if traumas like that started earlier.
Yeah.
It's not really a big concrete thing, but I think it's a thing to note.
Yeah. Even if it's something that never, like, you know, the show finishes and it's never touched upon in a canon way, I think it very much makes sense, like, just based on what we know about the characters, you know?
Yeah.
Fucked up, man.
Do you want to take the next one?
Oh, God. Okay. So, Stolas' dad, upon, like, you know, making that deal with Cash Buxo, just fully blows up the tent. Which, honestly, I'm surprised Blitz's dad doesn't, like, throw that in Blitz's face. You know, when he's saying, like, don't you want to get us a bigger tent? Like, he could have been like, look, that fucker blew up our tent, you know?
Yeah, you need to go buy us a new tent, bitch.
God. But no, it's very funny.
Yeah.
And then fucking... I don't know if this was in our original notes or...
It was
No,
not.
it wasn't, because of course it wasn't. Alex added foreshadowing with 2 eyeball emojis referencing the fucking circus fire.
Yeah.
That happens several years after this, but fuck you.
But I'm right.
Fuck you still.
I mean, fuck you still, but... and then also, we had in our notes, did they buy a new tent with the money after what they stole? But I think they did. Because we see it in Oops. I don't know that it's, like, definitely bigger, but they definitely have more. Yeah. Like, they have a bigger, like, area. It seems like, which we don't know for sure because we didn't see the back in this episode, but it seems like their tent that they're in is just the tent that they live in. Yeah. Whereas in Oops, they have a whole ring of tents.
Yeah.
Totally. So it makes me think that maybe things like this happened regularly and they kept building that wealth, and
I mean, they stole a shit ton from the Goetishes. I would imagine that would last them, like... Probably until the circus fire.
Well, he's also an alcoholic, so...
Oh, yeah. This is true.
So a good amount of money goes to that, I'm sure.
Blitz and Fizz steal his booze, so he runs low.
Yeah. when they're teens, The next bit we have is just a little bit of world building stuff. The sky is red, and it's Pride. Yeah. We've talked about this a bunch, but I did just want to know, in Has-Been, the sky is also red, and that is the only place where sinners can be.
Yeah, so in the Pride ring, canonically.
Yeah, so that further solidifies the fact that the colors in the sky are the rings. Yeah.
And we also know, like, I think maybe we said this last time, or maybe this was just a conversation we had off mic, that the only other similar sky color would be Wrath, which is orange, and Blitz explicitly says, "Oh, I'm not from Wrath, bitch."
Right.
In Western Energy. So.
Right. So this is Pride.
Circus is in Pride.
Which. Also, we never analyzed the audience, but there's probably sinners there.
At the circus? Yeah. That makes a lot of sense to have it in Pride, because then the most people can see it, basically.
Yeah, and also entertainment, and, like, the whole fact of, like, the lowest class being for entertainment and for...
Oh, and also in Has-Been, there's so much circus imagery.
Oh, everywhere.
Yeah.
I fucking love it.
I love it. I don't know if you noticed, in, like, the stained glass in the windows, it looked like a circus, like, tent. In the design of the... Maybe we'll put a picture on the Instagram or something. Yeah. For reference.
And also just Carmilla's whole thing. She's
her whole
so
thing.
circusy. More than anything is so circusy.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah. We're not going to get too into it. We're going to try. But there's... Vivzy likes circus.
Yeah. But it seems... It
more Pride-like.
Yeah, associated with Pride concretely now, which is cool.
Yeah.
And it's very interesting because the only 2 sins... like, deadly sins, and also just rings that haven't really been, like, showcased in Helluva are Pride. Like, it takes place in Pride, but they don't make a thing of it, really. And then Envy is the only other one we've seen nothing of.
We've seen nothing of in either show, except there's a picture of Lucifer with the Pride guy. I mean, not the Pride, the Envy guy.
Who's the Envy guy?
I forget his name.
Wait, that guy in Has-Been? The Zestial guy?
No, there's a picture of in Lucifer's room of him being like, "Hey," with the Envy guy.
How do we know it's the Envy guy?
Because there is like art of the Envy guy. I don't remember his name.
Oh, okay. You vamp. I'm gonna Google it.
Yeah. So yeah, but what I'm saying is that and the twins from the episode 7.
Mammon's Magnificent Musical mid-season special. Or whatever. Yeah.
I could not remember the full title. That's all we've seen of Envy. Yeah. There's also branding on all of the circus furniture, which there's also branding on Blitz's phone in his office. It's the same branding. And so that, I feel like, means he stole it.
Yeah.
Which we probably talked about, but it just solidified here.
Is it Leviathan von Eldritch?
I think so.
Interesting. I think I found the picture you're talking about. La 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 la, vamping.
Yeah, maybe we'll put that on the Instagram, too.
This? No, that's just Lucifer.
That is just Lucifer. Being so
slutty. Okay. Well, we'll
find pictures.
We'll find that.
This is just, I apparently did not tell Audie, so now he's getting autistic.
Yeah, sorry. I was like, ooh, this is new.
I will gladly vamp because we are about to talk about Little Blitz and Fizz. My first note is during the circus, there's Barbie on the wire, and I love her, and she's slaying.
Barbie on the wire, just like her freaking name.
Yeah, she goes doopa 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 on the wire.
We haven't seen the Sin of Sloth either.
Oh, yeah.
We've seen Sloth, but not the Sin of Sloth.
Yeah, when we've barely seen Sloth.
Yeah, that's true.
All three, meaning Barbie, Fizz, and Blitz, have a branding on their head. Yeah, that's just a fact.
Yeah.
The next one is, do they have beds?
We've discussed this. Like,
yeah, a little bit with, I think it was in Queen Bee, where, Blitz feels very comfortable sleeping on the couch in his apartment and, like, gives his room to Luna, and that could be because he didn't have a bed growing up. But that, I kind of heard this, and it makes me wonder if any of them have beds, like the parents and the kids, but then even just the kids. Like, is it sleeping on hay bales kind of thing?
Yeah.
Like, we don't see any beds in the entire place.
I feel like maybe, like, by the fire, like, when they have those more of the smaller tents and stuff, then maybe not, like, a bed, but, like, a cot, you know, something like that, I could see. Or just sleeping bags, even.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I find it hard to believe they have, like, full beds.
Yeah, and they definitely don't have, like, their own rooms or anything.
No. At most, someone would have their own mini tent.
Yeah, which we do see the mini tents later on, but even at that, I feel like it's probably, like, Blitz and Fizz probably share a tent.
Yeah.
And, like, Mom and Barbie probably share a tent. Mm-hmm. Like, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I don't know if they have little tents at this point.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Blitz's dad is the ringleader. We've kind of
we've talked about that. But we did want to talk about where the fuck are Fizz's parents? Who are Fizz's parents?
What happened to them? Does he know them? Have any knowledge
Yeah, does he know
them?
them? Are they alive? Did they sell him to the circus? Right. Like, there's so much.
Did he run away?
Is he...
Imagine he ran away to join the circus, like, all optimistic and opportunistic, and then he just gets exploited for the next, like, rest of his life.
Yeah. Running away, he would have to run away young, which that, like, would have had been bad. Yeah. Another thing, too, is he there for pay? Like, did his parents send him for pay? Like, maybe not sell him, but, like, he's living there and they're getting reward for that. Or
maybe they just couldn't afford to take care of him,
right.
So they, like, left him on the doorstep of the circus kind of thing.
Or is he doing it, like, does he love it? Has he always loved it? Is he doing it because he loves it and it helps his family? Like, is it his choice?
Right, but we never see or hear of his parents, so they don't seem to be anywhere in the picture.
Yeah, and I said, who takes care of him? Slash is legally responsible for him because no one is taking care of him.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm wondering, is he, like, a ward of Cash? Mm-hmm. Is he, like, I just have so many questions about it. It seems like maybe he is, judging by the stuff in Oops, like, he seems like he has a fatherly bond with him, but at the same time, he is his ringleader.
Yeah, and I think that's also more just to highlight the fact that Blitz does not get that attention from his own dad.
Right. But if he is, like, if Cash is legally responsible for him, or, like, at least, like, Blitz's parents are, and I say legally, it's in hell, but you get what I'm trying to say. then that still stings, I'm sure, because it's like, this is not actually your kid.
Yeah.
Unless he's adopted, but I don't think he is.
Yeah. I don't think it would be anything that too heavily implies a brotherly relationship between Fizz and Blitz.
That's
just
true.
because there seems to very much be the implication of romance, at least one-sided on Blitz's end.
Yeah. But also it can be like a ward situation.
Yeah, totally.
Without them being brotherly, especially because it's not like they're both treated brotherly, and it's not like they're getting love from parents.
I don't think they act brotherly or are treated brotherly, but I feel like if Fizz was like actually adopted, or
which
legally,
I don't think Cash would adopt.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think that's the case. But that would it would feel weird even if none of the other stuff is there, if they have like the same dad technically.
Yeah. A small little note we noticed in the animation is that when Blitz is doing his little balloon horses, and he's failing, he flicks his tail a lot.
Yeah.
And so we thought that maybe he did that when he's nervous. There's also a little bit where he, like, flattens his tail and it just spikes up a little tiny bit, but it's all the way on the floor. Like, very straight, like, probably the straightest we've ever seen it.
Yeah.
And so we think these might be, like, kind of, like, tics / like, emotion-driven things, which I feel like the tails are very indicative of emotion.
Oh, yeah. We, with Fizz later on, we see that it very much is used in that way.
And so I feel like the flick is him being nervous or maybe just, like, having, like, performance nerve kind of thing.
Yeah.
But the bringing it down is more, like, fear, like, actually being scared. Especially because we don't see his tail at all when he's talking to Cash later. He's very visibly scared.
Yeah.
So that makes me think it's straight down.
Yeah.
Kind of like a dog when it's between their legs.
Yeah. Also, I think we scrolled past just their little intro.
Oh my
bit.
gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love their intro bit. I have a note that's tagged, like, me because I said it.
Yeah.
But the like, ready, Blitzo?
Ready.
Every
it's
time.
So cute.
Makes, like, I hear it, like, Audi can attest for this when we rewatch this episode every time. I'm like, oh my goodness.
Yeah. I had the gif of that on my phone for a while, and I think I would just, like, show it to you randomly. Yeah.
Oh, also another fun fact about us as people. We randomly show each other random pictures of scenes that are hurtful.
Yeah.
The most prevalent is that I show Audie is Blitz yelling Fizz
in Oops,
and then also in Oops, or not Oops, it's a fan art of Oops.
Yes. Oh my god.
Of Blitz really shyly handing his card to Fizz.
The little, like, love confession letter. Yeah.
And so we'll just be in D Hall and I'll be like, hey.
Yeah. No, that picture of Blitz screaming Fizz, just, you can, like, hear the line just looking at that picture. The delivery.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm like, Brandon Rogers really put his whole Brandusy Rogers-y. His Brandusy Rogers-y. Yeah.
So true.
Yeah. We also have been keeping a very close eye on Blitz's love of horses, which has started very extremely young. This is a special interest. This is a
lifelong special
interest. Tiny little autistic baby.
Also, this and then Fizz later on saying, "You're still on that horse thing?"
Yeah. Yeah. And so, because, like, there's the balloon horses, which is, I didn't even, like, realize when watching this that, like, horses, that's not the typical balloon animal. It's like dogs. Like, that same design, pretty much. But it's not usually a horse, it's a dog. And then also him knowing the fact about the laminitis.
Yeah. And I don't think this kid is literate. So, like, he heard this fact and he hung on to it.
Yeah. He has so many horse facts bouncing around his little brain.
Yeah. And also he loves horses. Like, we've seen him love horses as an adult. He very much loves... There's, like, a picture of him feeding a horse when he's a kid. He thinks of horse names later on. He loves them.
His love of horses most likely just came from growing up in this environment with horses, because we see them at the circus.
Yeah.
So he's probably just been around them his whole life, and it's so cute and sweet that, like, despite everything that happened with the circus, he carries that love of horses into the rest of his life.
It's so sweet.
Yeah.
And then Blitz and Fizz's power dynamic.
As children. It's still there.
Before we get into it, I do want to note, we are aware that we know where the scars come from. We filmed or recorded everything else that we didn't know before that episode came out. And also, we are aware that Fizz was not abusive.
Yeah.
That we also did that before all the Fizz stuff came out.
I think maybe we should get into the practice of, at the start of each episode, we're just like, as of the time we're filming this, the most recent episode is this.
Yeah.
So for right now, that is Mammon's Magnificent Musical Special thing.
It is.
That's the most recent one. Moon, we're waiting for you.
I just felt the need to say that because a lot of our notes were on that toxic, like, relationship dynamic and how this related to that. And I know that I was really intense about that theory. I completely do not believe in that theory anymore. I want to be completely clear about that.
Yeah. But a lot of the ideas are still relevant.
Yes,
like,
I
we
just
take
did
this
want to say that.
from canon. It's not like we were just spewing shit from our ass.
Right. So a lot of, like, the reasoning for that is still very canon. It just means a lot different now. It means more towards how they both were abused.
Yeah.
As opposed to it being interpersonal.
Yeah. But yeah, going off that, just, which we've touched on this a bit, that Fizz is a lot better at circusing than Blitz.
Is that a word? Because that's what I typed.
It doesn't have a red underline. Circusing, he's better at it, and that, causes a rift, even though it's out of their control. Like, it's just the situation that they've both been put into as children. But also, again, like, Blitz's dad, like, very much prioritizes and shows much more affection and praise to Fizz than his own son, because he doesn't really value them as people, just as what they're able to do as for performers. Him and as performers for the circus.
Yeah, which, it wouldn't be an episode with me if I didn't talk about how this parallels performing and performing arts in the world. But that is very common.
Yeah.
Like, to be very two-faced like that, and, like, a lot of performers will have, like, a performer, like, vision of themselves and then a real one. Yeah. And a lot of times higher-ups and stuff in those kind of industries talk to them in that one only, like, who they are as a performer. And that's kind of the vibe that this gave me.
Yeah. I know we have a lot about Blitz here, but before that, I also want to say how that affects Fizz as a person, because we see in, not so much Oops, more in the musical special, how much of a, like, deep need that Fizz has, like, feels the need to be perfect at everything all the time. And I think Homeboy was a little bit traumatized by being just a little bit traumatized by being treated as perfect, and like the need and pressure from people around him to be perfect as a child, and probably seeing what happened to Blitz when he wasn't perfect. Yeah. And then, like, how, Blitz's relationship with his dad relates to Fizz's relationship with Mammon later. Yeah. Just fucking sucks. Yeah, it's so...
But I'm so glad that it's represented.
Oh, no, it's awesome.
Because, again, so prevalent in the industry. Yeah. And, I mean, it might be prevalent in the actual circus industry. I don't know too much about that. But, yeah, it's crazy. Especially for child performers, like, that's on the nose. Yep. And it's just... Yeah. Makes me crazy. Yeah. Also, I did want to say that one of our notes is that Blitz is a failed Nepo baby. Just putting that out there.
That really made me giggle. He's a failed Nepo baby. His dad's a freaking ringleader, and he can't even make a balloon horse.
He can't. It just doesn't have legs.
Oh, you're right.
Oh, shit. Sorry. Oh, shit. When we get to Wormhorse and Banana Pudding, I need to add a lot of stuff that I didn't take notes on.
Oh, no. Okay.
But we haven't gotten there yet. Anyway, sorry. Oh, shit.
How long have we been recording for? Because it's 7:45. My God.
43 minutes. Okay. Speed run,
go! Okay.
So, going back to, like, the making a joke thing, making, like, Blitz the end of the butt of the joke. Yeah. Fizz, I feel like, does that on stage and does it on purpose to keep up the show. Maybe he's aware that he's supposed to be the butt of the joke. Yeah. Or maybe he's just trying to save the show. Either way, like, he needs to be perfect and it needs to perform perfectly. Yeah. And Fizz is really good at making sure that it does. Yeah. But I think he is really sweet to him off stage.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
He does have a little bit of a condescending, not condescending, but, like, playful, like, if you talk about pirates again, I will punch you, kind of thing.
I think also, though, his, like the hang on, the way that he talks to Blitz during the show, and, like, trying to save the show, I think it's also just very possible that he, like, doesn't, realize, like, I totally lost the thread of what I'm trying to say. He doesn't realize that Blitz is, I think there's the possibility that he's, like, aware that Blitz is the butt of the joke, but also the possibility that he's, like, not aware of... Do you have any idea what...
Of how it makes him feel?
Yeah, I guess.
Of, like, how, like, the
yeah,
percussions of him.
Because he's never had to feel that way before.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I get what you're trying to say.
Fixing my sentence. I totally...
No, you're totally fine. I, for a second, was not able to because I looked out my window and someone was jumping in puddles, and I was like, I wish that were me.
We keep it real here on Helluva Podcast.
Yeah, also, it is pitch black outside.
Yeah.
And so I think that's really funny. But anyway...
Oof.
So, this one or that one?
Both.
Okay, so going off that, something that I wrote was that Fizz is more afraid of losing the crowd / getting in trouble with Cash than he is at hurting Blitz. Mm-hmm. That, doesn't necessarily entail, like, he is more afraid of that, 1, because he very well might not know what that feels like, he might not understand that that's bad. 2, he knows that Blitz isn't gonna, like, hurt him or give him repercussions for that.
Yeah, also... I was just thinking after the musical special, I'd be really interested to know, like, how, like, now that Fizz has kind of, obviously not fully come to terms with it, but, like, confronted his fear of not being perfect and everything, like, how that changes how he views Blitz now. Like, I think he'll have a much deeper understanding of what Blitz went through all those years.
I really hope they just have, like, one conversation.
One conversation could fix so many things in this goddamn
To be fair,
show.
they did have one conversation.
They did.
But that was like a, holy shit, everyone fucked us over conversation.
Yeah.
I need them to have a, this is our trauma conversation.
Yeah, no, because the thing with the fire, like, you know, that was the situation where, like, Blitz was the one, like, apologizing, even though he didn't really, it was an accident, as he says, but, like,
he did apologize. He said, I'm sorry.
No, he did.
I'm so
he
sorry.
fully apologized and, like, took accountability, even for the fact that it was an accident, and that, like, you know, he had his own losses that day, but we haven't gotten, like, an apology from Fizz.
Yeah.
And it's obviously a very different circumstance, but I would love to see Fizz be like, hey, I've been thinking, and, like, things were really fucking shitty for you, and, like, I'm sorry that I played into that, and, you know, I'd be interested to see what happens.
Do you mean an apology for, like, how he treated him as a kid?
Yeah.
Okay, because I was going to say, I don't know that I would feel that Fizz needs to apologize for anything as adults, because I don't think he put a hand in any of that.
No. I mean,
but
like,
no, I agree with that.
Yeah.
I also would love for Fizz to just, because Fizz is way more in touch with his emotions than, even though he's not very, he's a lot more
he's working on it,
than Blitz is, and I would love for him to be like, hey, do you remember when this big trauma happened? I feel like we should talk about that.
Yeah.
And then him being like, hey, like, I'm sorry that I was so shitty to you.
Yeah.
And then Blitz completely glitches and someone hits the reset button and fixes himself.
I think it'd also be funny if, like, now that, like, Fizz has Blitz back in his life, it's probably, like, awakening some older memories and just, you know, bringing it all to the front of his mind. So then he starts talking to Ozzy about it more, and Ozzy's like, hey, you should talk to someone who, like, understands all this, because this is fucking crazy. So then he's like...
Ozzy's just sitting there like, oh no, he didn't.
Oh no, he did not. Yeah. Ozzy's like, where's this fucker now? Can I go kill him?
He gets all the popcorn. You're kidding.
Like Vox and the bees in the finale of Hatchman. Yeah.
I honestly love Ozzy.
I love Ozzy so much.
This next line. So in Oops, Fizz says, I looked up to you. And I feel like I need to mention that because obviously he looked up to him when he was a kid. And they're kids here. So I think that this mainly, and when they're teens, not when they're kids, mainly has a lot to do with the fact that Blitz has agency, is able to stand up for himself, and is able to, like, say no to people, essentially. And, like, maybe not probably to his dad, but, like...
Blitz is a bitch. He gets cunty with it.
He gets cunty with it, and he tells people to fuck off, and he keeps himself and Fizz as safe as he can.
Yeah.
And Fizz can't do that.
Yeah, he's always been Fizz's protector, from what we've seen.
And so I'm thinking it does all come from a lot of that, but it makes me wonder if there's anything before Fizz becomes this protector that he looked up to. Like,
Blitz becomes his protector.
Yeah, sorry.
Yes, you're good.
Before Blitz becomes the protector, is there anything he looked up to? Did he look up to, like, how funny he was, how, like, imaginative he was?
Yeah.
They played together. Like, I want to know how long this I looked up to you came from.
I also would love to know if that translates into Fizz having a crush on him in return.
Yes.
Because that's very much, to me, seems like a way to be like, I had a crush on you without saying I had a crush on you. Like, to look up to your childhood bestie like that, you probably wanted to kiss him.
Yeah. How long did you want to kiss him? Did these two babies want to kiss each other?
Oh my god, they wanted to kiss each other and they never
Or
knew.
they wanted to hold hands.
Yeah, they wanted to give each other little hugs. I was just reading ahead in the notes how you said Blitz is definitely jealous of Fizz, which makes sense. And then under that you wrote, TBH, I would be too, he slays, which is so true.
No, because Fizz is the kid, when I was a kid, that I would have looked at and been like, where the fuck did you come from? I want to be like you. So, yeah.
Yeah.
I feel that really hard.
You know, I think Blitz is the kid I would have wanted to be when I was a kid. And I think that makes a lot of sense about us as people.
That does make a lot of sense about us as people. I was a lot more sassy as a kid than I am now. And I'm pretty fucking sassy. I was definitely like Blitz as a kid.
Yeah. You still are.
Hey. But I'm also like Fizz.
Yeah, no, you are. You're just like him for real.
I'm just like him for real.
You've got traumas out the wazoo.
Hey, not on the podcast,
no,
man.
I'm sorry.
No, I'm pretty sure I've talked a little bit about my trauma. If it wasn't implied by everything I'm very interested in. Banana Pudding and Wormhorse. First of all, I wrote my fave characters.
Yeah.
Second of all, Audie's the best person fucking ever and got me little Wormhorse and Banana Pudding keychains. I'm staring at them right now.
Etsy, I can put the link somewhere.
Yeah, promote small
the
businesses.
artists. Yeah.
But yeah, I wanted to talk about. I didn't write this down, so I'm talking out my ass. But I wanted to talk about how they're representative of Blitz and Fizz later on, because the red one is Banana Pudding, and that's the red horse and has legs.
Yep.
And then the green one is Wormhorse, doesn't have legs, and then red is Blitz's color and green is Fizz's color. And as we know, Fizz loses his limbs in the fire.
Yep.
And so that just seems like a little bit of a foreshadowing thing.
We sure do know that.
Also, and then the blood thing too is Wormhorse.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I feel like it's just a lot of foreshadowing. I don't really have more than that, but I think, first of all, Vivzy knew that this was gonna be painful and like really put it fucking everywhere. Like it was right under.
It was right under our fucking noses. He has robot fucking limbs.
He has robot fucking limbs.
Also, I'll put the link on the Instagram or something. Also, but the Etsy page is Claradactyl Co. CLARADACTYLCO. And that's where I found the Blitz. So it's called Blitz, Wormhorse, and Banana Pudding Charm. Helluva Boss keychain.
Real. And they're so good. I will product plug even though we are not getting paid. They are very good quality. They have little keychains attached to them. They have little like hoops for the keychains, but you can take them off.
They sell other stuff also, including the freaking egg boys on a keychain.
That's new, right?
Yeah.
Oh.
Little Stolas and Blitz heads on a lot of cute stuff.
The Lululand
pins, Husker's room, Ozzy's Angel Dust room, but a lot of Has-Been and Helluva stuff.
Yeah.
IMP hat, really cool stuff. So
go check them out.
Just go check them out, and also very well priced, extremely reasonable. Like they are within the right to price it however much they want. But
but for Etsy, cheap.
Etsy, yeah. So yeah, show them some love.
Oh, another thing about Banana Pudding and Wormhorse is they have the How You Been meme energy. Emoji. Energy.
Yeah.
If you don't know the How You Been thing, should we put it on the story? I feel like we should put
it
on the story.
We should put it on the story, yeah.
But it's...
we edit the balloon animals' faces onto it.
It's the meme where there's two beans and one asks how you been and then the other bean is just a blank face, but you can really tell it's fucking pissed off.
You can really tell exactly what it's saying, yeah.
And I feel like I know that when I first was watching it, I kept pausing it and being like, these are so expressive, I fucking love them. I love these little fucking balloon horses so
Alex
much.
goes fucking crazy over this scene every time.
I do.
Every single time.
I think I'm also just really crazy about circus stuff, and always have been.
Yeah. But these little balloon horses pop up and you start kicking your little feet like,
they're so good.
Banana Pudding and Wormhorse.
Okay, but you think they're good too.
No, I do. I saw those horses on Etsy and I was like, oh, this has Alex written all over it.
Shout us out on Instagram if you fucking like Wormhorse and Banana Pudding.
Best characters in the show.
Protect my honor.
Yeah. On a sadder note, they probably don't have any other toys, Blitz and Fizz.
And this is not, like, a definite note because, like, a definite proof kind of thing, because kids will play with literally anything, and these are at least toy-shaped.
Yeah.
So, like, they could just happen to be playing in them. We don't see any toys.
We don't see any toys.
And given Cash's whole greed thing, I don't think they have any of their toys. I think they just train.
Yeah, the circus is their life.
Yeah.
And, yeah. They literally play with ketchup.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And then the next set of notes is Little Blitz and Cash.
Which is fucking hard to watch.
Yep.
Blitz clearly hates his dad, loves his mom, who we don't... I mean, to this day, as of recording, we haven't seen his mom. Like,
yeah, we've seen pictures.
Pictures, but we haven't seen Blitz interact with his mom. Other than him running to the tent and saying, Mom.
And him in the Happy Birthday Mama, he's like, I'll cuddle up to her.
Yeah. But, yeah. When his dad is saying, like, don't you want to get us a bigger tent? Don't you want to help Mama? Blitz is like, of course I want to help Mama.
No, he says, don't you want to help me and your mama?
Right.
And then he says, of course I want to help Mama.
Yeah, just Mama.
Just Mama.
Yeah.
And then Cash, he flinches when he grabs him, and then he pulls his arm away and, like, covers himself with the other arm.
Yeah. It's really... I really love how he's both, like, very much frightened of his dad, but also, like, doesn't fully take his shit.
Yeah.
Like his dad's like, you're gonna spend the day with the Goetia family. He's like, ew, why?
Yeah.
Like, he's not just like, oh, okay, Dad, whatever you say. He's like, what? No. Gross. And then he, like, does fight with him a little bit, but he's just deeply manipulated also, and probably scared of it going further than that.
Yeah. But he still has a little bit of tood, and I gotta respect that.
You gotta respect the tood. You gotta respect the sass.
And I wonder, too, because Fizz is also sitting right there. So I wonder, too, how he interacts with his dad when it's just his dad.
Yeah.
And like, because I wonder, because obviously, like, Blitz is Fizz's protector, and I have been saying since day one, probably Barbie's too. And so I wonder if he feels like he has to act strong in this moment.
Yeah.
To show, like, Fizz, like, hey, it's okay.
He needs to get a good grade in, hiding his fear and negative emotions.
He needs to get a good grade in protecting other people.
He needs to get a good grade in making Fizz laugh.
Yeah. And then fucking Cash says, there are scarier things, aren't there, Blitzo? I can't do a Cash.
I think he says son. Not Blitzo, but same thing.
Same thing.
Same shebang.
I didn't even have to dead name him, sorry.
Wow, we fucking dead named him.
To be fair, I'm only dead naming him when the other characters dead name him, and I have to quote directly from the text.
Yeah, no, of course. Wow.
Is this a threat?
Yeah, like, there are scarier things, aren't there, son? Is so, like...
What has happened before? What are the scarier things?
What are the scary things? What are you implying? I'll punch you in your stupid face.
Yeah, and it just makes me wonder, because, like, Cash definitely hits his kids. Like, that's,
100%.
But, like,
no beating around the bush.
Yeah, is it, like, he got spanked once, or is it, like, he got beat? Like, there's a difference.
Regularly, yeah. Exactly.
So...
Neither are good,
Neither are good, but, like...
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there's, like, we see on screen this, like, emotional abuse, this manipulation, that his dad does. And then, I mean, just the fact that he's physical with him at all, like, I feel like it's more than implied that his dad is, like, physically violent in some ways. Especially, there's also, like, the element of the alcoholism.
Yep.
God, I tried to say both at once, and I couldn't.
Alcoholicism.
Which... Yeah. There's a lot.
There's a lot. He fucking sucks.
He fucking
basically
sucks. And, but even despite his dad sucking, little Blitz is still, like, a very sweet, still sassy.
Yeah.
But, like, he's so sweet, and he plays with his freaking balloon animals, and he's, like, hopeful.
Yeah, he's so much more hopeful as a kid than we've ever seen him.
Yeah, and we'll get into that a little later when it's him and well, not this episode, we're coming to the end, but...
Yeah, we are probably going to cut it off here, just because the next section we have is Blitz and Stolas when they're kids, and that directly translates into when they're older, so that feels like a good second episode.
Yeah.
And we've already been talking like an hour.
Yeah, and also, believe it or not, we do have lives outside of this podcast. We do have plans to get to. I know it's kind of shocking.
Yeah,
but we
mainly because we mainly need to go to things after this because we spent the entire day taking these notes.
Yeah, I've spent the majority of my day in your room, which is a little crazy.
Not even doing the notes.
No, I've been here. But yeah, that's where we're gonna end it for now.
But we do have some business.
Its own business. First we've got our Helluva Q&A,
which we actually did it beforehand, guys. Are you so proud?
Are you so proud of us?
It's gonna be a poll this week because we haven't done one of those in a long time.
Yeah.
And it is, who is your favorite baby Helluva Boss character?
Yeah.
The options are gonna be Blitz, Fizz, Stolas, Barbie, Moxie, and Via.
Yeah. If it lets us do that many options.
Yeah.
If not, we'll pick the...
Yeah, we might cut Barbie.
Yeah.
She's not really there.
She's not really there. Yeah. So vote in the poll on Spotify, like on this episode, wherever you're listening to it.
Also, next episode, we will try to comment on any comments, like, on here that we need to. We can't comment directly on the comments, but we have been getting a lot, and I have been reading them. I just didn't have time to take notes on them for this episode on top of these, but I'll do that for next episode.
Yeah. Just a reminder that we said at the start, we have the newsletter. It exists. You can sign up on our Instagram at AA Discussions. It's on both our highlights. There's a highlight specifically for the newsletter, and you can go to that and then click on the link on there. Or you can go to the link tree in our bio, and the newsletter, I think, is right at the top, or at least near the top.
It's near the top,
It's right on there. Then you can click, you can sign up, just put in your email. It's totally free. You can unsubscribe at any time, but you'll only get one email every month on the 1st of every month.
Yep, you might get, like, an additional, if we have something super promotional, or like, big going on.
Or
like if
time restricted.
Yeah, like, if we start, giving private content on Ko-fi, or if we start merch, which we've discussed very briefly. We have
discussed that briefly.
But it will only be one email. We won't be, like, emailing you being like, don't miss this.
Yeah.
It'll be like, hey, here's a new thing that's important. There you go. And that's it. So 2 emails tops a month.
Yeah.
And there's silly pictures in there from the show and from our lives.
From our lives, updates on our personal lives. And yeah, at the moment we don't have like an archive where past versions of the newsletter are. Like, that's something we could maybe like have up and running if people were interested. But
right,
at
but
the
if you want them
moment, if you want to see them, you got to sign up. Otherwise, you won't see them.
Yeah.
So do that. And yeah, we keep them super, super short and sweet, super silly, super fun.
Also, in the spirit of season 2, if you have any comments, any questions for us, collaboration opportunities, like anything, you can message us on the Instagram.
Yes.
I feel like we just haven't said that in a while.
Yeah.
So
at AA Discussions, anything you want to say to us, feel free to message us.
Messages are always open on our Instagram. We have gotten not quite a few, but like a good chunk, and they're always so sweet, and we love hearing from you guys. It's like we always get so excited when we have a message,
or just interacting with our posts in any way to show your interest. Love it so much. Yeah. I think that's it.
That's it. Well, I hope you enjoyed the first episode of Season 2.
Yes, thank you so much for listening.
We are so excited to dive into the rest of Season 2.
So fucking excited to be back at the mic.
Yeah. And we hope you guys are excited to be listening to us again.
Yeah. Stay sexy, I guess.
Yeah. All right, bye, guys.
Bye!